And good morning, everyone. We are live again. Here we are. It is Thursday morning once again. Rosemary talks to the spirit world, or what do we call this show? With the spirit world, or the spirit world sees all. How about that? Yes, I've got it. So here we are again. It's Thursday morning. Of course, as usual, I have my spirit guide Gregor, who is by my right side. To my far right, I have Carolyn. Say good morning, Carolyn.
Good morning, Carolyn.
And we have Al in Colorado. Al, say good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
And we are missing someone this morning because Cachorro is, I had to take him to the vet again this morning. So I'm going to do that because I know a lot of you have seen on Facebook that my puppy is really very, very sick. And I took him to the vet yesterday. He's in a lot of pain. They diagnosed him with an enlarged prostate, which is not so serious. Unfortunately, the little boy has got to be castrated. He was due for surgery on Monday, but we're pretty sure there's something else going on because he had a really bad night, and this morning he can hardly walk. He's staggering like a drunken sailor, poor little boy, and he's in a lot of agony, and he's not eaten now for 3 days. So they're going to be doing some blood work, and I shall keep you posted. And thank you, all of you, for all of your lovely thoughts and all your healing prayers and all of that stuff. But we shall keep you posted. So let's just dive in, because that's it. That's my news for the week. Actually, I must have done something really great this week. What did I do? I can't remember. My mind is a little bit foggy this morning. I can't imagine why that would be. Let's go into a question. Carolyn, let's have a question. Let's go for it, shall we?
Miguel was an early bird.
Good morning, Miguel. I do believe that I spoke to Miguel a couple of nights ago.
She did.
All right, let's go. I thought I'd answered every question he wanted, but apparently not. So I was like, all right, go ahead.
While working as an EMT, I was called for a pediatric cardiac arrest of a young girl. I personally suspected that foul play was involved. Would you be able to tell me if that is the case or not? Or maybe I'm just overthinking the situation.
I actually think that we should, all of us, I can't tell whether there's foul play involved in this because, you know, I think it was something that happened a long time ago, and it's not going to do anybody any good for me to say what I think in that area, and I'm looking to Gregor, and so we're moving on with that. However, what I will say, Miguel, and to all of you out there who do have these thoughts, these feelings, let's put it that way, we should always pay attention to our instincts and our intuitive self. It's when we don't pay attention, when you feel I shouldn't turn left, I should go right, and then you turn left anyway, that you're going to be in trouble, you're going to bump into someone you didn't want to meet, or whatever it is. Always listen to your instincts, and always be aware that your instincts are those small voices, or in fact the voice of your soul, which is telling you something that you should pay attention to. Al, let's have a question from you, can we?
Sure, we have Priscilla here.
Good morning, Priscilla.
My question is, can a soul be reincarnated and one can still connect to the previous body form or role of that soul? For example, maybe it was a father previously, but is now born as a son.
Okay. You should all know that this is not my forte. I'm not even sure that I do believe it's possible that we can come back here and do this all over again, meaning this life. I do believe also that, there are possibly instances where people do sort of, I suppose, reincarnate. That means coming back here, doesn't it, and doing it all. I've just repeated myself twice. I do not believe in the yo-yo syndrome. I do not believe that we We come here, we have this life, we go back up there, we live a life, we come back, do it all over again, and do blah, 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 blah. I consider that the yo-yo syndrome. I think that the universe is far smarter than that. There's much more intricate stuff going on than that. But I've heard some interesting stories. I'm not really going to answer your question, Priscilla, except to say I once saw a TV show where a young boy who lived out in the wilds of India somewhere or another kept talking to his parents about the fact that he had another family. And to cut a very long story very short, it turned out that he finally, I think, went with his father into the big city, into one of the main cities, and he made his way by himself. He sort of ran off. This boy was about 8 years old. He ran off from his father, and he found his way into a shop where he looked at the woman behind the counter, and he told her that he was her dead husband, and on and on it goes, and that he was shot, and her husband had been shot in the head. And sure enough, they did x-rays on this kid, and they found a scar in exactly the same spot where the husband had been shot. That is such a convoluted and muddled story. If you get anything out of that, good luck for you. In other words, what I'm saying to you is there are so many more things on heaven and earth than we know are possible. And I don't know too much about reincarnation, so I'm not going to go there anymore. I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to shut up now. Carolyn.
Violet has a question.
Who?
Violet.
Yes.
Good morning, Rosemary.
Good morning.
Could a dark soul be a medium? And if so, would they have dark-souled spirit guides? I ask because of a book I read on World War II, which alleged Hitler was mediumistic. Yeah,
certainly that is true, Violet. I think it's fairly commonly known that Hitler was into the dark arts, and that he was able to sense, to be aware. Whether you'd call him a medium, I don't know, but I don't see why people who are dark souls can't connect. They wouldn't particularly want to connect with those that we connect with, those light, bright souls that are of God, but I don't see why they couldn't connect with that dark side of life, because they themselves are dark. And I think you're right. Hitler was, certainly it was very well known and quite common knowledge that Hitler was into the dark arts. Whatever that might mean, I've no idea, really. I mean, I don't know. In other words, I don't know the extent of his involvement, but anything is possible, right? Al, let's have a question.
We have Mary here.
Good morning, Mary.
Mary says, happy birthday to my dad in heaven. Is there any advice that he or Grey Eagle have for me and my family member here on earth?
Is there any advice that her father has? Is that what she's asking?
I think so.
What is she asking?
That he or Grey Eagle have for me or my
Certainly
family.
Grey Eagle has. It was my daddy's birthday yesterday. I tried to work out how old he was, and then I got lost in the counting, and I was busy with Kachuro, so we didn't really celebrate his birthday yesterday. But happy birthday, Daddy! And I did say that to him yesterday. And I'm seeing a very warm, sparkling pair of eyes here. See how lucky I am to see my loved ones in the spirit world. All right, let's move on. Grey Eagle, what Grey Eagle is saying to us to celebrate whenever we can. He's laughing at me. He says to celebrate whenever we can and be joyous about the fact that, yes, it was my father's birthday. It's Mary, it's your father's birthday today. And it happens that it was the anniversary of my friend's father's passing yesterday. So my father and my good friend's father share a day of celebration. Now you would think, why am I suggesting that we celebrate when someone dies? Well, we should celebrate because, you know, that we have to celebrate the life that they led. We have to celebrate the fact that they were here at all. We have to celebrate that we knew them, and we have to celebrate their new life and new beginnings. So my feeling, and I know Gregor's feeling, he's saying, have a party, make a cake, go for it. Just show your loved ones in the spirit world that you love them, that you remember them, and that you're joyful for them in the new life that they have. He's nodding at me. I think I got it right. Whose turn is it?
Laurie has a great question.
Good morning, Laurie. Laurie has a great question, really.
She and everyone else are also sending love and healing prayers for Katura.
Thank you. Let's move on now. I don't really want to talk about it right now. It's very sweet of you all, but right now I'm just sort of, you know, hoping for the best.
Laurie says,
good morning, Laurie.
Do we sign up for situations that we will live through before we come here? If so, was I drunk when I signed up for the last few years?
Actually, that's a great question, Laurie. All right. I think what we do before we, if we have a choice, which I think most of us do, I'm checking with Greg all the time, I'm talking to you about this. If when we have a choice to come here, when we talk about coming here, we come here for reasons, and each of us has our own reasons for coming here. Some of us, actually most of us, want to learn, and we want to grow, we want to discover, we want to be pushed, you know, we want to explore, we want to, you know, explore this. I mean, for all of the tough stuff that we go through, isn't this an incredibly beautiful life? I'm saying that my puppy is really sick, and I'm still saying that this is a really beautiful and incredible life. And I know that Kachuro would think the same, because all he wants to do is snuggle with me and put his head on my knee and all of that stuff. He's had a wonderful life. We hope it's going to continue for a while yet. We all have wonderful lives, even though we have heartache and pain as well, because it's part of the process. I'm not sure that we, Laurie, choose our very specific, you know, the very specific things. There are certain things in life we're meant to come across, certain people we're meant to meet, certain experiences that we're meant to have. I mean, I think I told the story. Did I tell the story last week of a boy whose mother, I met his mother in Hong Kong, and she was told by her grandmother, God will ask of you. Did I not tell this story? Maybe it was on it. Maybe it was on the Everything is Attitude show. God will ask of you, he told her through me. Her grandmother came to me from the spirit world. God will ask of you, she said to this woman sitting in front of me, a great gift. He will ask of you a great sacrifice. And the grandmother did not say what the sacrifice was, but in fact, she was told, God will ask of you a great sacrifice. And it will be hard for you. So there are things that are meant to happen. I will continue with that story a little bit, because a few months later, maybe even a year later, I was now in England. When I gave that message to that lady, I was in Hong Kong. Now I'm in England, perhaps a year later, and I got a phone call, and it was this same woman, and she was very upset. She was crying, and she said, Rosemary, I don't know. I'm hoping you can help me. I'm looking for my son. It was just a young boy. And even before she said that she was looking for her son, I saw a little boy fall into a river, and he was swept away. And the next thing, I saw a waterfall, a huge, huge waterfall. And I saw this little boy's body as it went over the waterfall. And I saw his body, his physical body, going over in the water in this waterfall. But at the same time, I saw his spiritual body rising up. And I saw his angels as they literally lifted him and took him to heaven. or wherever it is you want to call it. I was describing this to her, and I said to her, I'm so sorry to have to tell this to you. They hadn't found the boy. They were still holding out hope, but the mother said to me, I knew he was gone. And I now know what it meant when you said God will ask of me a great sacrifice. I know that she taped our session, and I know that she played that tape over and over and over, and she told me she would lay in her son's bed holding his favorite teddy and listening to my voice and listening to the voice of her grandmother through me. So it was so helpful to her to know that it was one of the inevitables. I know that sounds perhaps weird, but there are things that are inevitable that happen. And then there are things we make choices about. Our main choice, no matter what happens to us in this life, is that we have the right attitude. We take the right attitude. And this is what we talk about in our show, right, Al? Everything is attitude. We take it, we can be negative and suffer and continue to bemoan and bewail our lot, or we can have a very positive attitude. And it's hard sometimes, very hard sometimes, to have a positive attitude, especially when life throws at us all of those things. But I do think that we know prior to our coming here those things that we wish to learn, and we do know that the consequences of making the choice of learning sometimes is going to be heartache and heartbreak. But even through heartache and heartbreak, this is a joyous life. It's a beautiful life, and we experience beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things. Al.
So we actually have another question from Violet. We don't have a lot of questions yet, and it's a good question if I could ask it.
Who's it from?
Violet.
Oh, Violet. Okay, go. Yeah.
If you can't die before your time and it's God's will when you go, but someone takes your life, then it seems a paradox, because how can someone who commits such an act be doing God's will? Confused.
Say it again. Sorry. Repeat that question.
If you can't die before your time, and it's God's will when you go.
What was the first part? How?
If you can't die before your time.
Right.
So the assumption is you can't die before your time.
Right.
And it's God's will when you go. But then someone takes a life or their life, right? Then it seems a paradox, because how can someone who commits such an act be doing God's will?
Okay, it isn't a paradox, because you were meant to let's say die. I hate to use the word die. You were meant to pass in that moment, in that time. I'm not sure it's always that you were meant to go in that particular way, but it's almost as if our life is already done and over. I think I mentioned this to Carolyn the other day. Yeah. It's almost as if we're sort of, we can, we're a little bit, there's a time lapse, let's put it that way. It's often the case that things have happened or are happening before they are for us anyway. I'm getting into really complicated areas now. And again, I'll say it's not what happens to us, it's our attitude. But if someone is murdered, it was because it was already preordained. It was already decided that that person would pass at that time and in that particular spot. It's like when people, get on a plane and then someone changes their mind at the last minute and they give their ticket to someone else. You think, wow, they've had a lucky escape, but it was already planned that was to be the case.
So Rosemary, the party that takes the life, are they also part of that?
Yes. Yes, we're all part of it. I mean, nothing is separate. Everything is energy, and every one of us is connected with every other person, creature, being on this planet. We're all connected in some way. It's sort of, people talk about a chain of events, but it's like, I think I mentioned the other week, you throw a pebble into a pond, and you know, people talk about, yes, you know, you see the ripples go out, the ripples on the pond go out and out and out. But what people don't see, but is important, is, sorry, I'm just checking my phone, sorry. But what people don't see, which is just as important, and in fact more so, is as the pebble is going down and down and down and down into the water where we can't see because it's dropping, there are ripples through all the way through the depths of the water. So when we throw out a pebble, we throw out a thought, for instance, that little pebble, that little thought that goes out there, the ripples go out, the waves go out, but they also go deep, deep, deep as well. So, you know, every action that we take, and we know this because, you know, it's because we know it, because science tells us every action has a reaction. I don't know if that helps or hinders, but anyway, that's... do we have another question?
Yes,
Let's go.
Martha asks,
good morning, Martha.
my husband was very sick. Is it possible that his brother, who has passed, crossed him over 3 times? Hold on. He said he saw the light. His brother was taking him out of the hospital room. Then he would come back. Nice.
Well, it was obviously his brother was... nice for him to see that. Obviously his brother was coming for a visit, and obviously to tell him, it's, you know, it's okay, I've got you, I'm here for you, I've got you, you're okay. I don't think, you know, that your husband died 3 times. I think he had an incredible experience. It's called an out-of-body experience. I think he had an incredible experience with his brother, and it probably brought him a great deal of comfort. How nice for him. And if you think about it, it's really wonderful for you too, because you know that that he's being taken care of. Al.
We have Alvis here. Hello, Rosemary. What is...
I'm sorry, what?
Alvis, A-L-V-I-S-E, or Alvis?
Aldaz. Can you turn the... For some reason, can you say it again? I'm sorry, Al, couldn't hear you.
It's Alvis, A-L-V-I-S-E.
Good morning to you. However you pronounce your name.
Yeah, I wish there was a way to click on it and we could
know. Wouldn't that be great?
Hello, Rosemary. What's your opinion about free will and decision we make, and what is destined for us to really experience in this lifetime?
Well, I think the majority of what we experience is destined. Didn't I just say that? I think I just said that, but I'll say it again. I think our free will is all about how we deal with situations as they come to us, how we deal with our life's traumas, how we deal with people, how much love we're prepared to show, how much care we're prepared to show to people, how soft our voice, how soft we make our voice, how loud we make our voice. Meaning, you know, sometimes we shout with joy, but very often we shout in anger. You know, our softness, the softness of our voice can come from timidity, but it can come from gentleness. You know, so we make those choices. We make those choices of the attitude, how we are going to deal with those experiences that we go through on an everyday basis. I mean, I said I wasn't going to talk about Cachorro, but you know, my attitude could be, you know, this is the downward slope. He's old after all. He'll be 13 this year. Although my vet says he's not old at all, and I've taken such good care of him, and he's, you know, and he's doing great. But my attitude could be one of doom and gloom and despair, and I could easily have cancelled this morning. Or I could say, you know what, let's, you know, send out our healing prayers. When I was giving Churro a massage on the sofa yesterday, I have very low sofas in one room in the house, so he's able to climb up. even then he struggled and he was in pain. So I gave him lovely massages and lots of healing as I was doing it. And, you know, you can take a positive attitude or you can take a negative attitude. This morning, I tried to give him some scrambled eggs with lots of butter and he wouldn't take them at all. But that's all right. I thought, well, I'll eat the rest. I didn't actually. Had a pear instead. But that's, again, attitude is all about attitude. You know, when we lose someone, when we are struggling with someone, if we have had a fight with someone, if someone is sick in our family, whatever it is that is thrown at us, if we've got no money, if we've got too much money, whatever it is that is thrown at us in life, we have the choice every single time. We have the choice to look on the best side of it, the positive side of it, or to, you know, to be woe begone and look on the negative side of it. And that doesn't mean that you can't, when I say be positive, it doesn't mean that you can't be sad. It doesn't mean that you can't, you know, regret some things. It doesn't mean that you can't grieve, but at the same time, you know, find ways to make it better for yourself. Find ways to, you know, to increase the good and the positive. I can tell you now that my puppy, if I was negative and woebegone, he'd be even worse than he is, and he'd feel it with me. So I just choose, as we all choose, I choose to have my attitude positive and loving and caring until the very last moment. That's what I choose.
Roxas has a question.
Roxas, good morning.
Hello, sweet spirit. Love you, soul family.
Thank you.
I was wondering how you reply to somebody wanting advice. Somebody asked me how to turn their premonitions off. I don't think you can. How do I advise them?
You can actually. You can shut off from, because premonitions are simply, you know, those instincts at work. And you can, you know, if those premonitions, for instance, come in a dream, you can actually tell this person. I always tell people, okay, get your hands, cross your, put your right hand on your heart, your left hand over your right hand, like so, and then you say a prayer to God. Please, God, protect me. Do not want any dreams tonight. Protect me, take care of me, be close to me, and allow me sweet dreams. And then you move on. There are lots of ways that people can stop, you know, their instincts from overburdening them. And it's also very difficult because sometimes it's real and sometimes it's your imagination. It's hard to know which, but if you don't like what is going on, take an action, do something about it. Talk to God and say, can you stop this, please? I don't want it anymore. Or if it's coming from a certain source, you know the source of it. For instance, if it's a mother or a brother or somebody, you talk to them, you say, hey, pack it in. I don't want this. Thank you very much, but stay away. But then you have to be careful, because if you then start to invite it back in, then, you know, it's going to start all over again. You can't say stop it. Oh, all right, then just this one, stop it. All right, you can't do that. So if you really don't want these things to happen to you, you can shut it down. Just be very positive and say, don't want it, don't like it, leave me alone. And it works. If for any reason this person is having more trouble and she'd like us to be involved, please email me, rosemary@rosemaryaLtea.com, and I'll get Greg on the job. Because he's the big guns. We'll get the big guns out here. That's what we'll do. Al.
So we have a comment from Flo.
Good morning, Flo.
I enjoy your show, Rosemary. You confirm most of the things I wonder about.
I feel as if there's going to be a but in a minute.
No, there's not actually. That was
great. Great. I was like cringy. I enjoy your show, but
no, that was it. And then we have a question from Jen.
Thank you, Flo, darling. We enjoy your participation. We love having questions, and we love the fact that people are watching. So thank you, darling, very much. Sorry. And a question from
Jen.
Jen. Good morning, Jen.
So she says, nowadays I'm into paranormal activity videos and starting to scare me now because
Good luck with that.
yeah, in my country, some mediums, they can see spirits with horrible visions or images. But with you, Rosemary, she didn't finish that. I think she means you don't see that, I guess she's thinking.
Well, that's not strictly true.
Yeah.
I have seen some awful stuff. And in fact, not sure if I should tell you this, but I'm going to say it anyway. In one of my books, it's called A Matter of Life and Death. I don't know which country you're in, but you could certainly, if you want to know how to find that book, email us. Again, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. And there is a story in the book, a true story about, well, they're all true. Actually, I shouldn't say a true story. There's a story in the book about a man who actually was here in Florida, and he was in Orlando. And I have good friends who are in Orlando, and I went to visit them one time and actually got involved in a very serious situation whereby there was this evil negativity, this evil man. I won't tell you too much, you have to read the story, but this evil man who had actually ended up hanging himself because he was in fact, I think, one of the most well-known serial killers of our modern time. And you can read his story. You can go into the FBI files, or you can just Google him and you'll find his story. I'm not going to give his name on here, but if you want to know more, read A Matter of Life and Death. But that was a really dreadful, horrible story, but with the most fabulous and amazing ending. Basically a story of good triumphing. I think that's, did I say that right? Over
Triumphs.
Good triumphing over evil. And boy, did it ever triumph. Don't think that I've not had these experiences. But my advice to you, my darling, is stop watching those videos. You'll scare you, pat the pants off yourself. Stop it. Don't go there. There's no need for it. Do we have a question, Carolyn?
Got a comment real quick from Mary. She says, happy St. Patrick's Day week. The healing that you have extended has always been spot on. I feel beyond blessed. God bless you all.
Oh, thank you, darling. And happy St. Patrick's to you. When is it? The 17th?
Sunday. Yeah,
so my sister's birthday. I have lots of family members who were born in March. Anyway.
All right. And
do we have a question there?
Teresa asks.
Good morning, Teresa.
Seeing an owl, is that a good sign or a bad sign?
It's a good sign. You don't, do you know owls don't have a particularly positive rap, do they? A lot of people, you'll see owls on people's roofs sometimes. It's actually to scare away all the predatory birds and all the other stuff going on. Owls are wonderful, 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 wonderful creatures. And if you've seen one, just take it as a great sign that the spirit world is definitely watching over you. Al.
We have another destiny question. Darlene asks,
good morning,
do you believe everything happens for a reason? Do we meet certain people because of fate?
Yes, we do. Yes, I do. And yes, we do. That's such a simple answer. Yes, I do believe everything happens for a reason. I don't think there are any accidents in this world at all. I think, our destinies, it's sort of decided for us, it's sort of, in some regard, it's decided for us, I should say. I used to really get upset about that idea, because the idea that, someone was sort of, that I was a puppet and I was, dangling on the end of somebody's rope, doing what I was supposed to be doing because somebody else determined it, or because somebody else said this is what you do. I didn't like that idea at all, because I don't like the idea of not having control on over my life. However, then I learned, and I'll repeat it again, your attitude is everything. You should watch our show on Fridays. You'll be amazed at what you learn. And attitude really is everything, because our destiny is one thing. The things that are meant to happen to us is another thing. The way that we handle it, the way that we deal with things, and the way that we push through and move forward, and the way that we grow is exactly down to us. They are our choices.
Carol has a statement, actually.
Sorry, you know, I'm looking at you and I suddenly realize I'm sitting here with my mouth is open. I'm sorry, everybody.
Carol has a comment. Hi, I felt.
Good morning, Carol.
She says, I felt what I felt was a miracle. It was during the recession. I felt it was my father. I was so down and out. I was able to win some money where I was able not to lose everything. That's her statement.
And isn't that great? And I can tell you, I know that there are people out there who can say to you, that happened to me as well. Yes, that happened to me. And then somebody else will say, yeah, you know, that I remember that happened to me. I'm going to tell you a little story. Years and years and years ago, when I had no money and I was on the verge of losing everything. My husband had disappeared and stolen all the money that he could and all of that stuff. And I'm hoping it did him so much good. But anyway, I was coming out of the house, and this was in the days when I used to dodge the bill collectors. I had people knocking on the door because I couldn't afford to pay this, that, or the other. Anyway, I came out of the house. I walked up the driveway. I just turned onto the main street. I was going to the post office, because you know, in England we used to get so much of to help with our children, and so I was on my way to the post office to collect that, and the postman gave me a letter, and I looked at it, opened it up, and it was the electric bill, and I stuffed it back in my bag with no intention to pay it, because how on earth could I possibly pay that bill? That's another one that I would have to call the electricity people and say I'm really sorry, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I got to the post office, and there was a line in front of me, and as I'm waiting in the line, there were about 3 people in front of me, and I'm waiting, and I hear a voice, a Grey Eagle's voice, pay the electricity bill. And of course I ignored it completely. Yeah, no way could I pay the bill. Next in line, further line shortened a little bit, I hear the voice again, pay the electricity bill. And I'm thinking, no, I didn't even bother getting it out of my stuffed in my purse. And then it was my turn, and I had to rummage in my bag to get my book out, to get the money out for Samantha. And I hear this voice now almost shouting in my ear, pay the electricity bill. And it was such a, you know, I got my book out, and the envelope with the bill came out with it. And what made me do it, to this day I cannot tell you. And I shoved the thing in, and I said, and I'd like to pay that as well. And I think I got less than £1, $1 in change left, and I had to feed my child for the next week. I walked home. It was probably a 20-minute or some walk home. I walked home berating myself, crying and crying, because you see, what I had then was supposed to do was to go and buy food to feed Samantha. Forget me, just to feed Samantha. And I couldn't, because I had no money. I'd got like $1, less than $1 in my purse now. And I went home and I just sat down. I was berate. I was so angry at myself, and I was sobbing and sobbing, and I hardly had any food in the house to feed Samantha. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I went into the kitchen and put the kettle on. That's what we English people do. We put the kettle on, we make a cup of tea. And even if you've used the tea bag several times, you still make tea with it. So I'm sitting there, still in my coat, nursing this mug of probably hot water. And crying, and a knock came at the door, and I just ignored it because it could be another debt collector after all. And then the knock sounded again, and I looked through the window, got up and looked through the window, and it was a young couple standing at the door. And I opened the door, cutting a very long story now, very, very short. And you can read that story, and you can read all about it in whichever book it's in. I can't remember. You need to buy them all and read them all. That's what I think. Anyway, cutting a very long story short, this couple had been turned out of their home. They were desperate. They needed somewhere to stay. A woman in the village had suggested I might have a spare room, and said the young man who worked, he actually worked on the oil rigs, and he said, I can pay you a month in advance. And he took the money out of his wallet and he laid it on the arm of the sofa. I had a big chest, a big leather Chesterfield sofa with big wide arms, and he laid the money on the sofa. And I kept looking at the money. I would have taken them in anyway, to be honest with you, because this poor girl was in a heck of a state. But I said to him, I don't even know how much to charge you. If you stayed here, I wouldn't know how much to charge you. He says, well, this is the going rate. And he gave me more than the going rate. And that girl, her name is Sherry, stayed with me, and her husband went to work and came home, sometimes went out to the oil rigs and came back. She stayed with me for several months. That was many years ago. And I never went hungry again. Life is funny, right? You are protected when you think you're not. Your angels are with you in the most weird and the most wondrous of ways. That young lady wrote to me, emailed me just a few months ago to say, hi, do you remember me? And of course I did remember her. And we had some great spooky times, in fact. Great story there. Anyway, I'm rambling again. Al, is it your question now? I think it's your turn to ask a question.
I think so, but that was a great story. It wasn't rambling. Marcus says, I have a question about something a little off topic.
Good morning, Marcus. Any topic is fine here. If I don't want to answer the question, I won't. So go for it, my lovely.
So have you ever had any encounters in the spirit world where spirits want to deceive us humans? The reason I ask, I've discovered Cameron Day, who looks like he's a spiritual cleanser. He's a healer helping those that have been deceived by the spirit or astral realm.
Have
you ever had any?
Have I ever?
Yes.
Never. Ever. Ever. Never. They would not deceive me. Your loved ones in the spirit world would not deceive you. Ever. 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 There are, though, those, let's say, negative forces who like to play tricks sometimes, which is why I say to people, don't do the Ouija board. Don't do, don't invite. It's like, how many times have we said this now? You do not open your front door and say to the stranger on the street, come on in. You do not, because unless they're in trouble, I have to tell you that I've done that a few times, but only if they seem to be in trouble, or only if you can help them in some way. And even then, it's not a safe thing to do. So you never invite in people that you don't know. You never invite in, a stranger in the spirit world, because you don't know them. But talk to your mom or your sister or your brother or your father or your grandfather, whoever it is that you know, and you do it in the right way, and you do it with, you have God in your heart, and you are a soul of light and beauty. And no, never, ever would they deceive you. And, I'm not sure about this cleanser person.
Marcus actually sent a link. He said, anyone wants to know what I'm talking about this, here's the video.
Well,
Just
somebody wrote us an email this morning about there was a guy saying, what was it? You need me to help you now, and
Oh, yes.
It was you know, somebody trying to say, I'm a medium and you need me and you need my help. And in those moments, that's when you say, block this person. Be very careful. Don't get caught up too much in, you know, what other people might tell you. Your loved ones in the spirit world would never deceive you, and they would never harm you under any circumstances whatsoever. But if you're a person who you want to muck about and you want to open the door and invite anybody in, then you know, then there are consequences to that. But other than that, if anybody out there is worried that their mother or their father is deceiving them or what have you, email me, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. We'll sort it out for you. Don't you worry. And we won't even charge you. We'll just send Grey Eagle to deal with it. He'll send his lot to deal with it. You don't have to pay a penny. If we know about it, we will certainly send our healing to you. We'll certainly send our energy to you. We'll certainly help you in any way that we can. Al.
Yeah, so we have Vera.
Good morning, Vera.
If a spirit going over to the other side into the light to God, is the door then closed after that? And then can they not come back and visit us as spirit? Or have they're the freedom to do what they want? So the question is, if they go to the other side, can they come back?
Yes. Well, they can't come back in the earth in an earthly form, but yes. Yes. I mean, they come back all the time. They certainly come back all the time to me. And there are a lot of people I know who often see their parents, their grandparents, their loved ones in the spirit world. My daughter Samantha used to, when she was younger, see my father all the time. She called him silly grandpa. So she used to see her silly grandpa all the time. I mean, it was, you know, it was quite a common occurrence, actually, that she would see him and not only see him, but hear him too. I mean, my father certainly went to God, but the door is never closed on love. The door is never closed on our relationship with our loved ones, wherever they are, or whether you're fighting with someone on this earth plane and you're having a big fight and you're not talking to each other, you still have that tie to that person. That door is still open. You might have to wriggle through it or beat it down or climb under or over it, however you get through it, but the door is always there. And the same with the spirit world. Our loved ones in the spirit world are always there for us, and they visit with us often. They cannot, of course, come back again in human form, but they are there for us nevertheless. And if you want them to, they will make themselves known. All you have to do is ask. Talk to them.
Dean has a question.
Good morning, my darling Dean.
Who does Grey Eagle go to when he has questions?
Oh, golly. That is such a good question. His answer to you is, to those in the universe who know more than I. How about that? So there you have it. Al, that was a good question though, Dean. Really good question.
I actually have a follow-up question to what's come up a few times. There was a woman who watched the paranormal videos, right? And we talked about the Ouija board and opening yourself. Does watching that kind of thing also have the same effect where it opens you to negative things?
Well, the imagination is very powerful, isn't it? But I also think that when we start to think and to go down a dark trail in our minds, then we're opening up the possibility that, you know, that if we're intrigued in it, then we sort of go down that path. Then, you know, you have to be very careful not to sort of get tangled up in the negativity of it. And you have to be very careful not to open yourself up to that negativity. So I think the answer is yes. I can't remember now what the question was actually, but I think I answered it. Did I answer it?
You did, yeah. Yep. Does the paranormal watching of those
Sorry,
videos.
everyone. I'm not quite 100% here this morning. I'll say it again. Carolyn,
Gotta hold on 1 second here.
Yeah, Al, do you have a question while Carolyn is playing around?
You're playing around. Yeah, okay.
She's typing something. She's Al, do you have another question?
Yeah, we have a question from Sarah.
Good morning, Sarah.
Why is it that we are more humane when our pets are close to dying than we are when people are? Or is euthanasia not okay for the spirit world?
Well, actually, there is a new book that I'm working on. It's a lifetime work. When I say a lifetime with Grey Eagle and I, the book is called Grey Eagle Speaks. And in this book, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of questions that people on this earth plane have asked him. One of these is the question that you just asked. And Grey Eagle gives his opinions and his answers on even in the political field, in every crevice and corner of this earth of ours, and in every heart and every mind of any question that has been asked, he gives his answers. For instance, he talks about how we discriminate about homosexuality, about race issues, about, I don't know, that's just one teeny subject. And he also talks about euthanasia and whether it's okay or not okay. Remember, though, here's the thing. We, even with our pets, and I've had to make the decision more times than I care to think about my pets, and I take them to the vet at that perfect time, that one moment. I actually know when it is that time. I'm lucky. I know that because it has been predetermined. And with our loved ones, it has been predetermined. I have a good friend many years ago who actually took his mother out of England to another country, doesn't matter where they did actually agree with euthanasia, and his mother chose to pass in that way. But it was already determined. But the choice of, do I suffer or do I do something, for the son who helped, it's about attitude, the attitude that we're going to take. I'll do it, but is it awful, or I'll do it because this is the right thing to do. I think that there are many people in this country, and I might shock a lot of people with my opinion here. I think there are a lot of people around the world who are suffering unnecessarily. There's no cure. There's no help. It doesn't matter what you do. And all they're doing is spending every minute, every moment in agony, in pain, in desperation, where if it is their choice, I'm not suggesting euthanasia should be, for anybody and everybody, but if it's a person's choice, again, if there are really good reasons, I think we should honor those choices. I don't find there is anything wrong with that. And Grey Eagle is putting his hand on my shoulder. And I've learned from Grey Eagle that we should sometimes our compassion, and I agree with you, you're right. We sometimes seem to have more compassion for our pets than we do for our loved ones. I don't think that's true. I think we have as much compassion, but our hands are tied. I am not saying, I'm not advocating euthanasia for everybody, but I think there are certain circumstances which, we have to consider. Rules are put in place. They're not meant to be, we're not meant to be dictated to. The rules are in place, and sometimes we need to break them, and sometimes we need to find ways to get around the rules, but the rules are there as guidance for us, not to dictate our every moment of our every life. I don't know what you guys think of that. Shall we move on then?
Teresa would like to know,
Good
is
morning,
Grey Eagle
Teresa.
handsome?
Very, 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 very. the most incredibly beautiful. I know that, you know, I'm going to tell you that he has sort of gray, well, almost silver eyes. How can a Native American have that? That's not right at all, is it? But there we are. That's how I see him, and he's smiling at me. And his eyes are the most intense eyes I think I've ever seen, ever. But yeah, I think he's handsome. Al?
We're close to time. We don't have a lot more questions here.
I don't think we have any questions.
We have Vera says, thanks for your always good answers, Rosemary.
You're very welcome.
Let's see if we have any other comments here.
We do want to mention before we go out about the class tonight.
Yes, we do, yeah.
I just need to, because we've had people asking questions. I can't make it on Thursday night at 9 o'clock. So
yes.
That eliminates me from the class. No, it doesn't eliminate you from the class. It is not necessary for people to attend the live class, which is happening 9 o'clock on a Thursday night. It is not necessary that you attend the class in person, because that class is recorded and you can have access to it, you know, actually for as long as you stay on the course. There will be there will be some live sessions that you'll be able to make. There'll be some live sessions that you won't be able to make. Not only do we do a live session, we'll be doing live sessions on Thursday night, we will also be doing live sessions possibly sometimes at the weekend. Certainly during the week I'll be on live on Facebook talking to students. So, you know, so you do not have to be present on that day, in that moment, at that time. You can enjoy the class and have the class and participate with the other students just as well, whether you are actually present on that first live show or not. Have I made that clear, Al? Do you want to say anything more?
Yes, so they're recorded. They can always watch them after. And if they do want to participate, they can ask questions, email me questions ahead of time, and you would answer them on the live show.
Of course, yeah. So you don't have to be present at 9 o'clock on a Thursday night, because I know that, you know, there's so many people in the rest of the world who, for 9 o'clock our time here, is well, it's 7 o'clock your time, right, Al? 9 o'clock my time here would be like 2 in the morning, or 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning sometimes. So, you know, and it is totally my fault for not making that clear. And because we've had people saying, if I can't make it, does this mean I can't join the classes? And it does not mean that at all. It simply means that, you know, the live show, the live session will be available to you for as long as you are with the course, and you can go back again and again and again and look as many times you want, to listen as many times as you want. You also have opportunities to ask questions. You also have, you know, you'll be involved with Facebook, with the other students in Facebook. And we will be doing, you know, at least one session a week, if not more, of live sessions at different times, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon. And people will say, but I can't make it. Then, well, we can't please everybody, but you can watch those live sessions whenever you like in the comfort of your own home. And you can watch those lessons and read those lessons and learn about those lessons and take your time about it. You know, you don't have to perform. Just because I'm on live doesn't mean that you have to perform or do anything. We give you lots of time to learn the lessons. And the first lesson is going to be about meditation. And we're also, with the course as well, we are doing some angel actions, and I'm going to be giving the students once weekly an angel action. What is an angel action, you might ask? Well, if you join the course, you'll know all about it. So I think on that note, do we have anyone else coming in at the last minute with anything at all? Nope.
No questions.
So, Al?
Just lots of comments and thank yous, that's all.
I will keep you all posted with Kachuro's progress, and I'll let you know what's going on. And in the meantime, if you want to join us on Everything is Attitude, it is Friday night, 6 o'clock Standard Eastern Time. Again, it's a live show. You can comment, you can ask questions even. If you want to join that show, or you have a good topic, by all means, email us at info@everythingisattitude.com. Tomorrow night, we're going to be having Mitchell Coombs on, who is a spiritual medium in Australia. So we're going to go all the way to Australia tomorrow night. And again, if you can't manage it live, you still have the opportunity to watch it, to learn, to listen, and to participate with us. You can always, you know, sort of, because the shows are all recorded. So so please don't feel that you're left out, or you'd like to learn but you can't, because, you know, because it's not, the times aren't right for you, or not available for you. All right, so I think that's it. So we're on tomorrow night, and we'll be back again next Thursday. Keep checking for Facebook if you want to know Kachoro's progress, and I'll keep you posted there. And for those of you who are coming tonight to our classes tonight, yay, we're looking forward to it and we're excited. For those of you we'll see at Everything is Attitude tomorrow night, 6 o'clock our time, we're looking forward to seeing you too. We're looking forward to having your comments and your, you know, we love the input that you guys give to us. And so until I see you again, yes, we'll be here next Thursday in, you know, whatever it is called. I can never remember the name of this show, something about the spirit world, but I'll be here on Thursday mornings as usual. So until I see you again, wherever it is, and in whatever forum it might be, thank you, Al, very much for participating. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you to Grey Eagle. And thank you, all of you out there who are supporting us. Subscribe. And my daughter gets really mad with me because I forget to say to people, would you please share this? Can you click on the share button on your computer and share it? So I've satisfied my daughter, who thinks I'm not very good at that sort of thing, and she's absolutely right. So until I see you again, whenever it is, please, please have a very, very, very blessed day. And I now need to look for the white arrow. It's here somewhere. Oh, there it is. See that? There we are. Have a very blessed day, everyone.